Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. What I'd love to do today is to go through a book, a very old book, a book that was first written in 1938 but published a number of years later. The book was written by a famous author named Napoleon Hill, and the book is entitled Outwitting the Devil. Imagine sitting across the table from the very embodiment of fear, self-doubt, limitation, and confusion, the very devil himself, and having the courage to ask him how he keeps humanity enslaved. That's the brilliant and very daring premise of Outwitting the Devil, a book that was unpublished until decades later. And this book feels eerily modern and hauntingly personal. Napoleon Hill, most famous for Think and Grow Rich, stripped away the polished optimism and instead cracked open the raw and uncomfortable truth. Most of us are prisoners of our own minds, and we rarely ever acknowledge it or even know about it. This book is not light reading. It isn't designed to make you feel good. It's designed to wake you up. As Hill interviews the devil, what unravels is an uncomfortable mirror of the way fear, procrastination, and societal conditioning seduce us into a life of drifting and living without intention, without purpose, and without the courage of self-commitment. Let's have a look at 5 of the important lessons from this unforgettable read. The first key message to come from this author is that fear itself is the devil's most effective and powerful weapon. Napoleon Hill portrays fear as the very root of all human limitation, whether it's fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, loss of love, old age, or even death. Fear is the very one thing that paralyzes action, clouds judgment, and leads most people into a passive and reactive lifestyle. The devil explains to the author that fear is the tool used to hypnotize people into drifting, living their lives without a clear direction or any meaningful goals. And this single lesson will strike deeply because it forces one to admit how often fear makes them indecisive and happens to make the decisions for you, even when you convince yourself you're just playing it safe for now. The author, via the interview with the devil, states that drifting in and of itself is spiritual suicide. The devil explains to the author the concept of drifting, which is living without a purpose, living without curiosity, or living without the ability to apply critical thinking. Drifters don't consciously choose their path, but instead they float through life, swayed by circumstances, influenced by habits and other people's opinions, influenced by other people's lightweight opinions. Hill's writing makes one painfully aware of how easy it is to fall prey to this very simple trap. Because what happens to each and every one of us if we're caught in a drift is that minutes turn into hours, hours turn into days, days turn into months, and months turn into years, all while convincing oneself that you are busy and gainfully occupied. This one very, very powerful lesson challenges us and you to simply reflect. Are we steering our ship, or have we let go of the wheel and let the tide, the waves, the wind and circumstance determine where we're going to end up? The next key lesson that comes from this wonderful book is that definiteness of purpose is your superpower. The book offers a sharp, contrasting view to drifting, talking about living with definiteness of purpose. According to Hill, once you decide what you want, every part of your life can align behind that specific intention. When you lack purpose, fear fills that vacuum. When you live with purpose, fear has no room to grow and no ground to root. This isn't about setting goals for the sake of achievement. It's about creating a life with meaning and directing your thoughts and actions towards something larger than comfort or security. Education alone is not wisdom. One of the devil's sneakiest tactics is to trap people in the illusion of knowledge, and Hill critiques the traditional education system, pointing out that memorizing facts or passing tests or exams doesn't teach you how to think. True wisdom comes from self-examination, from the ability to distinguish between truth and illusion, and from learning how to harness your mind as a creative tool rather than letting it be an echo chamber for fear and doubt to live in. This lesson in itself challenges one to stop asking, what do I know? And start asking the question, am I thinking for myself or are others thinking for me? The last key message to come from this book is that personal freedom is earned through self-discipline. Hill's conversation with the devil makes one thing unmistakably clear. There's no lasting freedom without discipline, and the devil doesn't control those who have mastered their habits, emotions, and desires through self-discipline. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode, and we'll chat again soon. Bye for now.